one of 100 priorities consuming CIA executives that summer, but in retrospect, it was one of the inflection points that helped an agency move from its back foot to a war footing relatively quickly. Not much prepared the CIA for the roles and responsibilities its officers assumed after the attacks. In the fall of 2001, everybody in America assumed there would be more catastrophic tragedies. It didn't seem as though anything could stop the shadowy al-Qaeda adversary that Americans came to know overnight. Immediately afterward, the anthrax attacks hit America. Official Washington inevitably drew the conclusion that this was another al-Qaeda attack, this time with a weapon of mass destruction, a WMD agent. Al-Qaeda had been researching the bacteria, and the logic that they might attempt to rock the United States with an anthrax campaign immediately on the heels of 9/11 made sense. Washington was on its toes, and no one then would have guessed that the attacks were in fact tied to a disaffected American scientist. Simply put, America and the CIA were caught off guard. Back then, everyone thought al-Qaeda had infiltrated more terrorists in America, and that the next catastrophic attack was possible any day. The hardest part of piecing together the memories of that period, what the agency did and why, centers on the insoluble problem of helping later generations understand the fears, the urgency of the moment, and the overwhelming tension surrounding the one core question. Can we move quickly enough to stop the next one? And if we don't, what are the consequences? Agency officers had to adjust to a new era of the CIA, one that shifted rapidly from an intelligence organization to a warfighting operation. Abu Zubaydah was perhaps the biggest riddle the agency struggled to solve during that first year. Agency operators were accustomed to dealing in tough areas, including everything from the former Soviet Union to war zones in Africa, Latin America, and Southeast Asia, but they were not accustomed to dealing with hostile detainees. They chose to take on the new challenge, funding risks that they vaguely understood but could not entirely foresee. The CIA's overall mission also shifted, beyond the confines of detainee interrogations. Traditional intelligence typically supports war fighters from the U.S. military, supplying them with information about the adversary's capabilities and intent, as well as information about weapons systems, missile programs, and diplomatic advances. In the new counterterrorism world, the agency was often the action arm for the information its agents collected. CIA officers gathered intelligence about al-Qaeda leaders and then turned around and passed that information on to CIA operators who hunted down those leaders in operations that spanned the globe. As CIA officials wrestled with the realities of this new counterterrorism landscape, accompanied by huge budget increases and vastly expanded latitude for action, they also came face to face with another challenge. When they began capturing senior al-Qaeda terrorists, they were not prepared to build and manage their own prison system for the new detainees. Far from it. CIA officers had never even considered detaining prisoners as an option, and the CIA, as an organization, had no experience or capability in managing prisons. Nor were CIA officers recruited, trained, or practiced in dealing with recalcitrant prisoners who refused to give up the secrets that might stop the next plot. That left the agency with a dilemma. CIA managers felt a personal and professional responsibility to stop the next wave of al-Qaeda killings. The prisoners they later took, in the minds of the CIA executives who ran the agency, held clues that might stop another round of tragedy. Senior officials at the CIA correctly assumed that critics would later assail them for secret prisoners and harsh interrogations. The knot they had to untangle, either conduct the interrogations and try to break the al-Qaeda prisoners who might hold critical intelligence clues, or pass off the prisoners to another U.S. government entity that wouldn't have the same legal authorities, clandestine mission, and willing officers to perform the interrogation mission. Life at Langley was transformed by this expansive vision of the agency's role. CIA officers interpreted orders from the